All right, so today is October 22nd, and this is our Scorpio horoscope for the day. A letter or phone call concerning potential positive changes in your financial situation could have your mind buzzing over possibilities for the future. You might be a bit worried about being able to make the most of this break, but your practicality should enable you to face it objectively and efficiently. There's no need to worry. Give it some thought and make your decision when it all comes through. I wonder what that could be about, but I like it. I like to hear that I have money coming in soon in my financial state, and you too, because we have the same horoscope.
Yeah, so I need to buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah, which I did. I bought like a scratcher ticket because I had like one from months ago, and I won a free ticket, and it was $1, and I won every single thing on it. It was like $10. So
yeah,
maybe I need to go buy another.
Yeah, with the $10 that you won.
Yeah, I know. That's good. Well, that's a very positive way to start out our day here.
It is.
Mallory's a little stressed because we had some technical difficulties getting started.
I poured myself a glass of wine because we just spent a good hour trying to get GarageBand to work.
And part of it was me because I put the noise gate like at a certain level that it wasn't even picking us up. But we're good now.
We're good. I'm cooling down with a glass of wine.
Yes. We have her tarot pulled up, and she's like, if you eggs out of that, I'm done.
That would have been my third for the day. Reason.
All right, so what are we going to talk about today?
Well, we've got juicy questions to ask each other.
Yay.
We were just looking over these. We asked ChatGPT, our pal, what's some questions that we should ask each other on our podcast.
Yeah.
So we can jump right into it.
We thought this would be just kind of like a fun episode. Get to know us a little bit. Some of the weird things we might choose for these questions. It's probably surprise us ourselves. So. Yeah. All right.
Okay. Question number 1. What is a weird food combo that you secretly love?
So, for me, growing up, for some reason, I would eat Cheez-Its with Hershey Kisses, together.
Oh, salty sweet.
Yeah, which it goes to the salty and sweet thing, but I don't know why I did it with Cheez-Its and Hershey Kisses, but it was, perfect because the size of a Hershey Kiss fits perfectly on top of the size of a Cheez-It. Huh. And I would eat that, and it's not something I even do often now. I should try it again, but something about it works, so that's kind of a weird combination. I'm sure there's others, but that's, the one that came to my mind, because I feel like I've told people about it. I'm like, that is really random, but I'm like, hey,
it's making me want Cheez-Its.
You should, yeah. Don't you guys have some?
Yeah,
the old school kind.
No, they're the new extra cheesy flavor.
See, I like the square Cheez-Its. They've branched off into these chip forms, and I don't like those.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is that?
An actual
it would probably still be good,
but it's got flavoring on it.
Okay.
It's extra cheese or something. Yeah. It's delicious.
Yeah, you need to go buy yourself some Hershey Kisses and try it.
Oh, that does sound
I
really
need to
good.
retry it too.
Yeah, so that kind of relates to mine. It's really random, but I remember my old daycare lady doing this, and it's graham crackers and icing. So you dip the graham cracker in the icing and you just eat it.
I can see that too. I think that kind of goes, I guess there's nothing salty, but it's kind of sweet. It almost kind of gives off not a cheesecake, but that's kind of how that works. It's graham cracker with that sweetness. True. So I guess that does make sense.
It kind of tastes like a pretzel with white chocolate. Yeah. But more sweet.
Yeah. So kind of chocolate covered pretzels. I think that kind of goes to the Cheez-It thing too. That's kind of the salty, concept there. Sweet. Interesting. Yeah. Well, maybe some of these companies should listen to our podcast and make Cheez-It could make a half of it has dipped in chocolate or something. Well, and even same with your thing.
Those little packages that come with cheese sticks and then a little cube of cheese.
It should just be icing.
Yeah.
I wonder if we should look it up. They probably were they probably at some point did do these
Dunkaroos. They're a little cookie with icing.
Yeah.
So that's probably
that concept. But they could still branch out and do it as their own brand. But we always talk about how or I see articles on the internet about things companies did that didn't go over well, the purple ketchup in the early 2000s and stuff. Yeah. We're going to look it up, and these companies probably did it for a hot minute, and it's just
Well, I remember you saying it looked like a Pringle.
Yes,
and it had
Swoops.
Chocolate.
Yeah. Swoops, but it wasn't. It was in the shape of a Pringle, even came in little cans. I wonder if people out there remember this. It's called Swoops. It was early 2000s, maybe 2003, 2004, 2005. I guess I was 8 or 9. And my parents would get them at this store they shopped at. And they were literally Hershey and Reese's brand called swoops in the shape of a Pringle in a little container. And, like, I used to eat them all the time. And, like, they don't make them anymore. They should bring them back.
You're probably the only one who ate them.
I know. I obviously, because they didn't do very well, but...
I do have another one. And it's popcorn in, like, chocolate milk or hot chocolate. Like, I feel like they go so well together. Like,
but Mallory thinks popcorn goes with everything.
Yes. The more orange the popcorn is, the better, too. Like, so much butter. Blast, butter.
And I'm the opposite. I like popcorn, but with, like, a light butter. And that's, like, the part of going to the movies I don't like. Because I'm like, no extra butter, please. I actually was at Walmart yesterday. I was like, I want popcorn out of nowhere. Because I've never been a huge popcorn person except going to the movies. And I was looking at all these, like, extra butter things. I'm like, Mallory would eat that. And I'll go right next to the light butter and take that.
Will literally, Tanner and I will eat a bowl of popcorn pretty much every night before bed, and he doesn't care if there's, like, a lot of butter on it. So I will have the bowl first, and I will pick out all of the orange ones, and then he just gets whatever's left over.
I will say, I think popcorn you make at your house, because I've had some of yours, and it didn't bother me. I think what I don't like about movie theater is when they put that on there, I feel like it makes it almost soggy.
Oh, so
and
good.
That's what I don't like.
So good.
If it was not soggy, I think I'd be okay.
The movie theater in my town has, you press the button and you can do it yourself.
Oh my god.
Tanner and I have to get separate. Like, I put half of the popcorn into, like, a separate thing for him, and he won't put butter on it, and then I just go to town.
See, like, what you're like, you know how people have hot chocolate with marshmallows on top? You have, like, a thing of butter with, like, a couple pieces of popcorn.
Dipping my popcorn into, like, a container of butter.
Yes. That is so
like
funny.
Barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
Do you have any more weird combos?
No, like, nothing. I'm sure there are, but I feel like I'm pretty basic when it comes to food. I don't do a lot of weird things, but that is one that I did growing up.
Yeah. I'll have to try it. Okay, the next one, if you had to pick a theme song for your life, what would it be and why?
Okay, so, like, Come Clean by Hilary Duff. Because growing up, I was obsessed with Hilary Duff. Like, I had all of her CDs, all of her albums, was, like, obsessed, right? And the only reason I say this, it's not like it's, like, my favorite song or whatever, but it's a song that, like, when people hear it, people will send me YouTube videos, or, like, there's just jokes around the fact that, like, I'm associated to the song. And, like, when Snapchat back in 2016 first introduced, like, Snap Stories and Memories, in my Snapchat, the very first thing I have is a video. It was raining outside, and I'm singing, like, let the rain fall down. Classic. And it, like, became a thing, and so people will sing it to me, and it's just, I don't know, it's just, I'm associated to it. So I guess that would be my theme, because if you ask someone, they're likely to think that, except for you. You're like, what do you think of when you think of me?
Blink 182. So, Gen Z millennial, like, I'm more Gen Z, even though I feel like I'm both.
She's on the line. You were born in 97, right? You literally are on the line, because that's where millennial and Gen Z, like changes. Yeah. And you show so many signs of millennial, and then there's some things you're so Gen Z about.
Yeah. But this is one thing. I was at bachelorette trip in, like, the Ozarks. There was a Bryce Vine concert. I think that's his name, Bryce Vine. And the opening was just all this music that was so millennial, and me and my friends were just like, we cannot shake our ass to this song. And all of the millennials were like, woo, and it was like a Blink 182 song. I can't remember what it was, but when I came back from that trip, I was talking to you about it. Yeah. And you said, is it this song? And I was like, oh my god, yes. So, like, when we were coming up with these questions, Meller's like, you're something Blink 182. It's like, don't get me wrong. Like, they have songs I like, and, like, their album just came out this week. Their songs, like, I listen to a lot of punk-related music, but, like, I'm not that obsessed with Blink 182, so it's funny. They're like, it's gotta be Blink 182. Like, that's what Mallory thinks of when she thinks of me, is Blink 182. Yeah. But I'd also say Mr. Brightside by The Killers. Like, that song came out when I was in 5th grade. And I know it's kind of like, I literally saw an article the other day saying it's like the millennial anthem now. Like, it's kind of what, it compared it to another song. Like, maybe, like, Don't Stop Believin'. It was some other song. It's like, that's going to be this song for this generation. I can see that. And that was a song I really liked, and I still really like, but I feel like that's such a common one that people like. I definitely think Hilary Duff is a little funnier. I think when people hear a song and think of you, that's your anthem.
Yeah, and it's Come Clean by Hilary Duff. You know, let the rain fall down and wake my dreams.
Yes. mine is Transportin' by Kodak Black. And if you know me, you know, like, peak college, this was my song. I loved this song. And anytime it would come on, people would be like, oh my God, Mallory, it's your song. And so now when people hear it, I'll get like Snapchats like, oh, this is what I'm listening to. But funny thing, so Tanner, first night when he took me home, the drive home, okay, this was after a party, so I was clearly intoxicated. But he gave me his phone to put a song on, and that's the song I picked. And I rapped the whole song to him. And still to this day, he's like, that was it. That's when I knew.
That's when I knew you were the one.
Transporting drunk in my car.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
When I think of Mallory, I don't really have like maybe a specific song, but I think of trap music. Because I remember when she first started at like my job a couple years ago, and I met her. Like, I had an impression of her, and it was just the more...
Not a good one.
Huh?
Not a good one.
It wasn't a bad one, maybe, just
bad in my eyes.
I know, and now I'm like, whoa, what was I thinking? But it's just because, like, I had creeped before she started beforehand. I was like, she's got this little family with kids, and she's probably super religious, and I was way off.
A good Christian girl, and I'm like, please.
And you came in and you put up your pictures, which was so, like, another coworker that we had, and, like... I was obviously so wrong, like, thank God.
Yeah,
but then I started to learn you're, like, really into trap music. I'm like, who is this girl? And so I just, in general, when I think of trap music, but I feel like you've kind of, like, even my music taste, like, I listen to a little more trappier stuff than I used to. Like I've been listening to Thank God by Travis Scott a lot, and I think I heard it in your car.
Probably.
And now I really like the song, and so... That's what I think of when
it's just good shake your ass music.
Yeah.
You know? You can really just dance.
Well, I like the punk stuff because I want to feel.
Yeah. Fist pump.
Punch a wall.
Yeah.
All right. Drink break.
Okay. Question number 2. Or 3. Oh, God.
Oh, no. I wasn't prepared for this
I know. Okay. So, Danielle and I have elevator lists. And, sorry, Tanner, if you're listening.
Sorry, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, that too. So, elevator lists, I feel like people know. I don't know, because I didn't know until you told me about it.
Everyone I told her, never heard of that. I'm like, where did I hear about it? I think I heard it on, like, maybe Friends. It was, like, somewhere on a TV show. And if you look it up, it is on the internet. It's on Urban Dictionary. But anyone I talk to is like, never heard of that. But I've had a few people make them after I brought it up.
Yeah. So when we were still working together, this is something that we did, like, on the clock. But pretty much, elevator list, it means...
Well, we did it on lunch, too. Like, we went to lunch. We got to sit down and think. We were at Sam's Club.
I forgot about that.
Like, we got to come up with this. This is important.
But an elevator list is if you're ever trapped in an elevator with this person, it's like your hall pass.
Yeah, kind of like it doesn't matter if you're in a relationship. If you end up on an elevator with this person, it's free. Fair game.
Yeah,
free game?
We did top 10. I don't know if we're gonna talk about.
We'll just talk about a couple people, and it's like I have never been anybody that was like obsessed with a male celebrity. Like I got into TV shows and like movies, and like I said, I really liked Hilary Duff. I went through like an Ashley Tisdale phase, but I never had like a. Like, there's guys you could see, okay, this is the heartthrob, this is supposed to be the cute guy, but I never really got into it, so this was hard for me to come up with this list. I was like, just people that I think are maybe, I like their personality and attractive, but, like, I don't have, like, a deep, like, real feelings for it anyway.
When I was in middle school, I was obsessed with One Direction, and, like, obsessed.
What happens if you're on an elevator with the whole band?
That would have been, like, little 8th grade Mallory. Like, all bets are off if I'm in the elevator with One Direction. But yeah, that was a good time in my life. But not obsessed with him anymore, even though like Harry Styles is still,
he's looking really good these days. I saw something about him, and he just looks like a man now. Like he went from like looking like a little kid to like he's a grown ass man.
Oh, okay. Do you want to start with yours?
Okay. Okay, so some of these are so random. Let me tell you.
I feel like we need to set the stage on when we wrote these. It's been a minute.
So this says it was last edited in May, but it was before then.
Yeah, because I was still.
Yeah, I honestly think this was like
it was
the beginning of this year, probably like January or February.
Yeah, this makes sense at least when you read my list, because I feel like there's a few on there that make sense for that time period.
There's people in here I'm like, we just were trying to come up with them for the sake of doing it. So I feel like this guy is on Outer Banks, which I don't even really watch this show. I tried to watch it. It's like, okay.
This was when the new season came out, though.
Yeah, because I was kind of watching it. I was getting a lot of TikToks about Drew Starkey. And here's the thing. I've never been like a buzz cut kind of person, but what I like him is when he has the buzz cut. Yeah. But then there was also a video of him when he had like longer hair and he had his hat backwards and he's like wearing Converse and he like made a basket at a basketball game. I'm like, this is it.
Just that specific.
And that's the thing with Mallory and I. It's not just Drew Starkey. It's Drew Starkey specifically with either the buzz hair or the long hair, the Converse, and shooting a basket. Like, it has to be specific time periods.
Yeah.
I also have Matt Rife, but again, I know he's popular. He's on a lot of people's lists these days. I feel like this was before. I feel like he's blown up even more since then. He has. There's, like, again, a specific one where he's got, like, a backwards hat on and this sweatshirt. I'm like, that version of Matt Rife. I have Justin Bieber, only 2020. Like, circa, for the most part, circa 2020. He kind of let his hair grow back out longer. It was, like, September 2020. And, like, the video he did that's actually Drake's song, Pop Star with DJ Khaled.
Was this the one where he was wearing the
robe?
Yeah,
he's wearing, like, this, like, blue robe. That version of, that era of Justin Bieber I like, okay? I also have James Lafferty, and he was on a show called One Tree Hill, which, again, has also blown up. But I watched this show when I was young, and he is just aged like fine wine. Like, he looks good. So, like him, and he's tall, and, like, the tallness is a thing. Pete Davidson, he's on everybody's list. I think Pete Davidson just seems like he's such a, like, chill whatever guy. I like that he's, like, open about his mental health. He doesn't care to have social media. And he was on SNL last week, actually. I watched his monologue, and he just seems like he's even matured in his as far as comedian-wise. Really just like him as a person. Tom Holland, he just seems nice, kind of short for me, but he seems like a nice guy. But I like him and Zendaya so much. I, like, don't even, like...
Can't mess with that.
It's like... even I was in a relationship on the elevator. I think I wouldn't, not because of my boyfriend, because I like Zendaya so much. I respect Zendaya too much. I have Ludwig and Hasanabi, which are two, like, well, Ludwig used to be a Twitch streamer. Now he's a YouTuber guy. And then Hasanabi is, like, a Twitch streamer, which I mostly watch, like, he does, like, a Fear and podcast. So I watch him a lot on there. But again, he's tall, and I like the tall thing. Ludwig just seems like a really cool guy. And then I have, like, Dave Franco randomly on here, and he just seems kind of quirky. And then I have, like, an options section. And that has Nick Jonas, Andrew Garfield, Miles Teller. I would only say, like, maybe seriously 3 or 4 of these people.
Miles Teller, though, that was when Top Gun
had come out. I feel like it had came out a little bit before then. Yeah. And it was one of those where, like, we couldn't think of anything. And I was like, oh my gosh, Miles Teller. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's perfect, you know?
I used to be obsessed with him. Okay, you've got my list on your phone.
Oh, yeah, okay, I forgot. Okay. Zoom in a little bit.
Okay. Number 1, starting off controversial with Chris Brown. Okay. This has just been a staple in my life for years. Anybody who knows me, like, knows Chris Brown is on my elevator list. I saw him in a concert. It was literally amazing. We got tickets, like, up in the nosebleeds, and we were upgraded to, like, very, very close to the front row. It was so good. I know his past, and I'm not...
But people change.
People change.
Well, Mallory's not looking for a relationship here. Right. This is an elevator list, so...
Just, nothing serious. Anywho, let's move on. Next this is so specific. So, do you remember Jack Harlow when he was walking down the red carpet and Emma Chamberlain interviewed him? Brown suit. Yeah,
you've showed me this. Yeah. Like, it's this Jack Harlow.
That is the only Jack Harlow. But, like, you could just tell. Even the comments on that TikTok were just like, I get it now why girls think that he is attractive. It just, like, the swag. Just, like,
just his
the way he talks. Yeah. It's like, okay. So, only Jack Harlow when he's being interviewed by Emma Chamberlain in the brown suit. Pete Davidson at any point, that's just a given. This one is so specific. So this came out when The Last of Us was, like, on TV, and so I do not think, okay, Pedro Pascal.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
So normally not attractive. Okay, he's old. Yeah, but this scene, spoiler alert if you haven't watched The Last of Us yet, it's been months, so you should have by now. But this very last episode, after he like pretty much offs everyone and he saves Ellie from the hospital. I don't know if you've ever watched.
I have not watched it.
Then like after they got out of the hospital, he's like, "Come here, baby girl," to her, and I was like, oh my god, that was so attractive. Like, he just saved her from this hospital of people trying to murder her, and like just murdered a bunch of people, and he was like, "Come here, baby girl," and they just like embraced, and
You're like, yes, daddy.
oh god, yeah. So that's a really specific one. Only in that moment. Like any other time in that episode is a no. Damon, that's just obvious. Draco Malfoy, but specifically in the last few movies, because any time before that is like a little pedophile.
Yeah, like he was young.
But growing up through the years, like obviously I was young when the first movies
You were young
out.
with him and you grew up with him.
Exactly. And so just all throughout my life, no matter what stage, I just always like, oh, Draco Malfoy is...
I feel like that's probably pretty common. I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
people probably agree with you on that.
Oh, Rio from Good Girls. The bad guy with the neck tattoo.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Nothing
Baddie.
more to say on that.
Well, she liked him too.
Yeah. And then this last one, Travis Kelce on his podcast when his niece was like, "Hi, Uncle Travi," and just his reaction to that, I was like,
And I love that you had this on here way before the Taylor Swift stuff.
I did, yeah.
You've been such a fan. What about our local weatherman? You have to say his name.
Okay, but local weatherman, but only during storm season.
Because he's saving all of our lives.
Okay, so there's this theory, though, that people who are saved by, like, a fireman or, like, a police officer, they have just, like, this weird attraction towards them. Like, they could be very ugly, but it's, like, the fact that they saved their lives, it's, like, you're attracted to them. So that's how I feel about our local weatherman.
Yeah.
Because I'm scared of tornadoes. So I feel
So
like he
funny.
saves me every time. He's like, there's a tornado coming, or, like, a tornado warning.
And you are not the only one. He has so many fangirls. His
Very
like Facebook
much
page
so.
has over 100,000 people on it at this point. Like he's been here a long time. Mm-hmm. So you're definitely not the only one.
Oh, I know I'm not. But yeah, that is mine. All my 10.
So that wraps up our elevator list. So very interesting.
We really just shared really personal
I
information
know.
with you
But
guys.
understanding who a long time ago, some of these I don't know. Like I probably would have new people to add. And it's all in fun. Like so actually a few months ago Jesse McCartney came to our town and he like performed at our local college and we went to it. And I was like, should I add Jesse McCartney to my elevator list right now? Because the chances of this happening are a lot higher now, you know?
Because he's there. He was like, what are we doing after this, guys?
Because like he was inviting us to go to the bars with him.
He zoomed off that stage.
Yeah, he zoomed
like,
off
"I'm out here."
quickly. On like a golf cart or something. It was
Like, I'm just
so
trying to
weird.
please these people. I don't want to go to the Mexican restaurant with them after this.
Yeah. Oh, because it was Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, it was.
That's why I forgot.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was funny.
That was funny.
The closest I've ever been to like a celebrity, probably.
He was like at the beginning, these are my favorite shows to do. And I'm like, okay, you're in the middle of like Podunk, Missouri right now. This is not your favorite show.
No, whatever you got to tell yourself, whatever you want us to believe, Jesse. All right, what's our next question?
Okay. If you were to be on a reality TV show, what would it be and why?
I think mine would be The Circle on Netflix. It's been around for about 5 years now. I've been rewatching it recently, so it's also just on my mind. But I like it because you don't have to actually talk to people. And like I'm an introvert, so that's like sounds great to me. So just stay in a room and you get to like talk to people via like the television as if you're like in like a social circle. Some people are catfish, you don't know. And I just think it's really fun. And I think I would be, I think I'd be good at it. But some of those people, it's like even if they're good, some of them just get dealt dirty hands with the twists and stuff. But I think that one would be really fun. I think the concept's super interesting.
I agree. I would like to be on that. I don't know how it would be like by myself in a room.
I know. That's what I don't get. It's like that would be hard by yourself. They obviously probably don't have access to phones and stuff. So like that would be the part that would probably like mentally drive me a little crazy. But
yeah, I think that would be a big thing for me. Mine would be the ultimatum.
Another controversial.
I'm full of controversies today. But you see, I have like long-term commitment issues, and Tanner, my now husband, like we were together for 5 years and had 2 kids, and I was just like, the thought of marriage was just too much. I'm like, okay, we are buying a house, we have 2 kids together, but like the thought of being with someone for the rest of my life was just too much.
Yeah.
So The Ultimatum is basically a show where couples go on. One of them gives their partner an ultimatum. You can either marry me or we're breaking up. And then they date all the other couples, and then they decide who they want to pretend to be married to. I think they live together for 4 weeks or 2 weeks. I don't remember.
I think it is like a month.
Yeah. So they live with this person who isn't their partner, but it's like one of the other ultimatum partners. And they see how that relationship would be because, like grass is greener on the other side kind of thing. And then they go back with their ultimatum partner and live with them for 4 weeks, and then at the very end they decide like who they're going to be with, like if they're going to get married, because that's the ultimatum, you get married or we break up. So they decide if they're going to get married, if they're going to stay with their first partner that they did a little experiment with, or if they're just going to be single. So I feel like I would be on that show just because of my commitment issues.
I feel like that would have made a lot of sense last year too, because Mallory literally was like, never getting married, and then like out of nowhere, like weeks later, I feel like within the month, we're like in a car, she's like, I have something to tell you, and I'm like, I just feel like that's the worst thing anyone could ever say to me. So like my mind's like going all over,
because it was a secret.
And you're like, Tanner and I are gonna like have a little elopement thing, and I like want you to be there, and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
because I was like, literally weeks ago, you're like, that's never gonna happen.
A major, like, we were gonna buy a house, so I'm like, okay, let's just do it. Like,
may as well.
And here we are.
I guess, the thing is, if it doesn't work out, there's divorce.
I know.
Which is annoying, but it's not like you're completely stuck with someone forever. But it's worked out. I mean, it's been over a year, but it was just so funny because that was so your mindset, and so the ultimatum completely makes sense, especially like last year. That would have made a lot of sense.
But if I was in my college days, it would definitely be like Love Island or like one of those
F-Boy Island,
one of those shows, because I think those are fun to watch.
But
I don't think I could like be making out with people in front of a camera, like knowing that my family's gonna watch it.
It's awkward.
So that's mine. Question number 5. Do you have any secret talents?
So I can say the alphabet backwards. When I was in 7th grade, we had this music teacher, and she made us do these like weird vocal exercises. And one of them was like this song where you learn the alphabet backwards in it. And I just have taught myself over the years, like I don't even remember what the song was, because I was like, I want to be able to say this without the song. And so I taught myself. And then going into college, on syllabus day, they would always be like, what, name an interesting fact about yourself. And I never, like, nobody wants to answer this question. No. So I was always just like, I'm going to use this. But then the only thing was then I had to say it. But I'm like, you know what? It's worth it, because at least I like have an answer for this that's not completely lame. And so, that's kind of a fun one.
Yeah, I have a nightmare story from like What's Your Hobbies. So the year was like 2017, actually 2016, because it was my freshman year, first semester. And they're like, name of like fun fact, or like what's a hobby, and I'm like, I don't have any hobbies. And so I was like, like I normally just like watch Netflix, and half of the class was like, and chill. And they were all laughing, and I was like, I hate myself, like,
so
get me out of here. Dropping this class, you will not see me next
oh my gosh. I actually have a bad thing, this is kind of a little off topic, from syllabus day in like, it was like 2016, and it was like literally the first day of class, and I've maybe had like one nosebleed in my life before this. Seriously, I've had maybe 3 nosebleeds in my entire life, and not one of them has ever been at like a super convenient time. This was maybe the second. I was sitting in class out of nowhere, just the worst nosebleed ever, and I had to just like cover my nose and like run to the bathroom. I'm like, what is this? Like, that's the most embarrassing thing ever with people I like. Some of them I knew, had classes with before, but I'm like, what the heck?
I would have dropped the class.
I know. I was like, that is Well, I would have classes, like, in that type of field that I went into, communications, I had these classes with these people and other things.
Yeah.
I think they're more like, are you okay? And I'm like, I don't know what just happened. That's, like, the second nosebleed I've ever had in my whole life at, like, 21.
Yeah, that I would have been so embarrassed.
My interesting fact, my nose can just bleed on command.
I couldn't think of a secret talent when we were thinking of these things, and Danielle's like, I can think of one for you. So I hosted like a murder mystery party. What was that?
A few months ago, yeah.
And it was like a housewarming party, and I made a cake, and it was like 3 tiers, icing, sprinkles, knife in the top. Like,
it was really cool looking. Like, where'd you get this? She's like, I made it.
Yeah, everyone thought that it was like store bought, but no, I made it. And when I was a kid, my grandpa would like, he took like a baking class at Michael's. That seems right. Like a decorating class.
Yeah.
And so he had like all the stuff for it, and we would like decorate cakes. And so she said my secret talent is baking, but I wouldn't say baking, more as like decorating cakes.
Yeah, which, I mean, you're better than the average person, I would say. So like, I was like really surprised because that wasn't something I knew.
Yeah. Which I do watch Is It Cake?
Oh yeah,
TV show. Could I do that? No. But I think if I wanted to, like, I could work up to that level.
Yeah. See, I don't know about you, but this last season I just watched, I wasn't as impressed.
Oh, I loved it.
Did you? I was not as impressed. I'm like, that's so obviously cake. And I'm like, am I just got this weird talent now that I can look at something and be like, that's cake? Like,
well, the one thing is I loved it just because I thought the host was funnier this season. I thought the first couple seasons he was trying way too hard.
I think he got feedback because people were like, this guy's kind of annoying.
Yeah, so he was funny this season, but I didn't like how they let the contestants mess with the decoys so much. Mm-hmm. Like, the girl that was in the finale should not have been in the finale. Like, she did this helmet, didn't even decorate the helmet, and because she just ran out of time, and so she messed with the other decoys to make them look like cake.
Yeah.
And so they picked hers, and like people who actually had talent and finished their cakes went home.
Yeah.
And I was like, I did not like how they were letting them mess with the decoys.
Yeah, there were things I didn't like. I think one of the first rounds, they're like, you can just do whatever you want. I'm like, why? Like, I didn't like how it started off like that. I don't know. I was just able to pick which ones were cake more than I felt like in other seasons. So I'm like, either I'm getting really good at this because of this TV show. Yeah. I don't know.
I'm so bad at picking which one is which. Okay. Secret talent. Okay. Fictional universe. If you could be in one, what would it be and why?
Mine's kind of like probably boring, but I really like that 70s show is like my favorite show growing up, and it just seems like so cool that they had like a little group of friends and they'd hang out in the basement and they'd go to the hub, I think is what it was called, and it just seemed like a fun time, a simpler time. I got called Donna all the time growing up because of the long red hair, and I didn't wear a lot of makeup and stuff, and it's just nice to feel like you have like a close group knit of friends. Like they all have such different personalities, and that was like a comfort show of mine, and I was like, it'd be cool to hang out with them.
My family had like an unfinished basement in our house, and I always was like, I want to set this up to be like that 70s show, but I didn't have great friends. Yeah, I mean, I had friends, but like not much.
Yeah, I did too. I had like my whole life I've only ever had like a couple of close friends at a time. Like lots of like friends or acquaintances, but close friends I've never had like more than 2 or 3 at a time. Yeah. So it makes sense. Yeah. I like that because I don't have that.
I know. Yeah. I want to be there because I don't have that right now.
Yeah.
Mine, first of all, number 1, Harry Potter, obviously. Like, I feel like everyone our age wants to be in Harry Potter. Actually, haven't you like not watched Harry Potter?
I just didn't really get into it. I've seen, I think, the first movie or two, and I read, like, the first, like, 2 books because I had to do, like, a banned book assignment, and that's what I chose. It's not that I hate it, but I don't get into a lot of stuff like that. I mean, the most I've ever did was Twilight, which everybody was when I was 14 getting into Twilight. But that was really just, like, the first couple movies, and then I was over that, too. I don't like a lot of, like, supernatural-y, like, things, I guess.
I did. Like, I wanted to get a freaking letter on my 12th birthday so bad. Like, I was so mad that it was not real, and still to this day I'm like mad that it's not real.
No, I get it. Like, I just I just never got into that type of stuff. But I'm also, like, weird. Like, I do not like a lot of animated movies. Like, except Shrek. Specifically Shrek. But other than that, I didn't get into a lot of animated movies.
Harry Potter isn't animated.
Well, I was just saying in general. Like, I wasn't into supernatural stuff, which I feel like a lot of people were. I feel like a lot of people are into animated stuff and, like, would ask me if I've seen these. I'm like, no. Like, I just... And I don't know if that's because I was, like, the last kid of 4 and they were watching older things. And so I didn't get to watch a lot of, like, the more kid-type stuff. But was never huge into cartoons either. Like, I don't know. I feel like I was just kind of, like, different when it came to, like, just movies and shows and things kids at that age would be into.
Another one would be, which this one is kind of wild. Like, Game of Thrones. I love that series. But, like, there's so much murder and, like, pain. I wouldn't want that aspect of it. And I think it's just because I think, like, Jon Snow is, like, a really attractive character. But that's another one that I would want to be in. Yeah. Only if I knew that I wasn't going to get hurt or, like, die in a fiery dragon death. Okay, well, this is the last question. It's not, like, going out on a bang or anything. No. But it's just funniest or weirdest thing that's happened to you on a vacation.
I haven't had too many because I just don't go on a lot of vacations, but something that's kind of funny is, like, for a few years I did go to Destin with my friend and her family, and me and her would be in her car, and then her parents and brothers would be in another, but her little brother would car hop between our cars, and he'd be like, well, this is what's going on in the other car, and, like, just would be really funny. And we were driving to leave, like, the little, like, area where our condos and stuff were, and he would sit in the back, and he would just roll down his window, and as, like, people would be walking by, he did not, like, let us in on this, that he was doing this. He would just do this. He'd be like, and that's when I realized my brother was gay, or that's when I realized I was in love with my brother. We're like, what are you doing? Just to, like, screw with people that were, like, walking by the car. He was just trying to say out-of-pocket stuff, but he wouldn't tell us he was going to do it. So we would just hear him saying out-of-pocket stuff, and it's because people were, like, walking by, and he wanted them to hear it. I love that. That's like, funny. The concept of just, like, screwing with people like that, and they're going to think, this guy was talking about how he's in love with his brother in this car. I overheard it. And it was so random, but it was so funny, and it made those trips really fun.
That is funny. I feel like I have a lot. Most recent one, this wasn't really a vacation, it was like a work trip, but we stayed in this, like, hotel, and it had a conjoining door, and I was in this hotel room by myself, and so I was, like, a little nervous, like, oh my god, conjoining door with, like, strangers. Little did I know this was going to be the worst sleeping experience of my life. So I went to sleep early, you know, there was a time change. I was like, work trip, I gotta be ready for tomorrow. Yeah. And I'm awoken at midnight to the sound of moaning from the people next door, like, loud. And, like, loud enough to where the sound of the air conditioning was not covering it up. And I'm like, this is my nightmare. Like, it sounded like they were filming a porn.
Oh, my God.
Bad. And I was like, okay, like, it'll stop soon. Like, you know, we're all adults here. If it would have been, like, 15 minutes, I would have been okay with it. When I tell you this went on for hours, I think I fell asleep at 2:33. Like, they were going at it, and
I'm just upset you didn't send me, like, a snap video of the sound.
I know. I
would have loved to hear it.
I sent it to Tanner, and I thought I saved it, and I didn't, and I was so mad that I didn't save it, because I'm like, I feel like I need proof to tell people just how dramatic bad this was.
It sounds like they were being dramatic.
They were. I'm like, she's got to be a prostitute or something. Like, no woman is making these noises for that long. Yeah. And they would stop and talk for a little bit, and then they'd go at it again. I was like, are they discussing payment? Like, what is happening here?
Oh, my gosh.
It was terrible. But another recent one, we went to Disney, and my mom literally tripped and fell day 2 in the park, tripped and fell, and thought she broke her ankle. So I guess it was her foot. But she got wheelchaired out, ambulance, all that jazz, and she had to be in a scooter the whole rest of the vacation. Oh my gosh. And this is the vacation when the freaking hurricane hit, so I'm like, this is just a disaster from every angle. Yeah. And then what's another? Oh, spring break in college. This was like 2019. We took Tanner's car, and literally we got to Alabama, pulled over, got some gas at a sketch gas station. Like, we went in, there was like Confederate flags and like religious stuff everywhere, and like old men are just like staring at us. And I'm like, we do not belong here. And so we got gas there. We left plume of smoke out the back. I was like, oh my God, did we just get like diesel or something, or like bad gas? And we couldn't figure it out, so we just kept driving on it, because what are we going to do? We're in the middle of nowhere. And we stopped somewhere. I don't remember where it was, but they were pretty much like, yeah, we don't have anybody here who can look at this today. And so we're like, we're just going to keep driving. So we drove all the way to Florida. You know, all week when we were there, we would drive around and just clouds of smoke would come up behind us. It was so embarrassing. But on the way back, we stopped and it was bad. Like, we filled up the gas and we had to pull over on the interstate because people behind us could not see because there was so much smoke. And so we went to, I don't know what it was, some car shop. And they were like, did you realize you have no oil in your car? And Tanner checked it, but he didn't wipe the stick. He just dipped it in and picked it up and was like, oh, there's oil in here. So there's no oil because it had all flooded into the turbo. And so that's why there were clouds of smoke. So we had to stay in, I think this was Alabama again. We had to stay in just this random hotel, and it was me, Tanner, and two of my other friends, and it was just a mess. We had to rent a car to get home, and then once we got home, Tanner had to fly back to the shop to pick the car up and then drive it all the way back. It was like 15 hours.
That is a disaster.
Yeah.
I guess like that kind of remind me, I guess we've had some, like the first trip to Destin, like, hey, my friend Haley drove over like a thing in Tennessee, and it like flattened 2 or 3 of her tires. And we had to abruptly stop, go get her tires changed. It put us hours behind. Yeah. So like, yeah, it just sucks when those things go wrong with your car, because it's like, what do you do? Like, you're literally like in your situation with like almost completely stranded.
Yeah, and thank God Tanner's family helped us out, because we didn't have the money for a hotel or a rental car and to fix his car up.
Was that on the way back or too?
That was on the way back.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm like, why couldn't this have happened in Florida so we could have like a hotel on the beach and
exactly.
Yeah. But we also went around the hurricane. I don't remember what hurricane it was, but it was a bad one, like an F5. And I felt really dirty, like vacationing there while they're just like still trying to clean up from this hurricane. And so we tried to go to a shop there, and they were all busy, and I'm like, it looks like a tornado just hit you.
That sucks.
Yeah, it was really bad. So check the news out in the states that you're going to travel to, so you don't travel somewhere during a natural disaster. Okay, to wrap it up with our tarot card reading, today we got the Star. This is a time of good luck and fortune, perhaps after a period of struggle and heartache. Good health, possibly after a time of illness, and good fortune will give you a new zest for life. If considering a new love affair, new job, career change, or travel, go for it. You may also receive a gift or gifts. Plural.
I do have to say it's a little in line with what the horoscope was today.
Really?
Yeah, because it was talking about like good things happening and some good fortune, and that's really in line with that. So obviously that means we really need to go buy a lottery ticket.
I know. So we'll see what change happens in this near future.
Yes, and we hope that like this resonates with you guys as well, and we hope that we all have good fortune going on.
Goodbye.